It's not bad, man. I can't complain. It's pretty big, and it's quiet, spacious.
That's what's up. Trying to find quiet is the hard part.
Well, it's ground level, like a storefront. So you put the key in, you step off the sidewalk, and you're in the studio. There's no elevator, steps, or nothing. But it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope.
Josh, I'm glad you're at work today.
Man, I've been here since 8 a.m.
You know how you do. You'd be fucking gone for weeks.
He swears I be.
You know what I mean? I'd be recording. I'd be like, where Josh at? Oh no, he gone for a couple weeks. He be back.
I need that time off.
I hear you.
I need more.
I hear you.
Man,
We all need more time off. I'll tell you that.
I don't know when was the last time I took an actual real vacation.
You gotta do it, man.
Yeah,
sleep on it.
Europeans take like 2-3 vacations a year, paid for by the government or their job or whatever.
Like when they complain about shit, I'm just like, come live in America, see what that shit is.
Shit.
All right. 3, 2.
Como vai, and welcome to the sUpEr, episode 26 of season number 3. We are back. I'm here by myself because it's Sunday and people don't want to come to this show. Yeah, my new co-host, Jay Flatbush, he has back issues, so he won't be here tonight. And we was going to have Danny Cortez, who's here, I think, episode 20, but, he had something to do. And he was going to unveil the new piece he did for the show, but we'll do that another episode. But anyway, we do have a guest. We have a wonderful artist over here. I went to his space today. And it was amazing art, and it's so big, you can't bring it here, but it's amazing, and I will give people the links to see the art. Jeff Henriquez,
Correct,
is here. I'm glad I got your name right the first time. The last name, the first name Jeff is a shoo-in, but
if I had a nickel for every time somebody said Jeff Hernandez, I'm like, there's
No, I
even
didn't
a
want to
D in
do
my
that.
name,
No,
son.
I didn't want to mess your name up.
But no, you got it right.
But thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
And as I said, you are an artist. Just give people a little background about you, your art, what made you become an artist, just stuff like that.
Well, I've been an artist since I was like little. I was like the artist in the class or whatever, and I got it from my father. My father was a billboard painter, like they do Colossal does out here. My father used to do that in like the 40s, way back in the day. And I picked it up, went to a tech school. They let me do my first mural in the high school, and I've been doing murals since I was 15. And then I went from job to job to job, went to school, went to the Marine Corps, and did everything but art for a living up until about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. 7 years ago, until I finally was like, yo, I gotta quit my job and just do the art, because that's how I need to run the clock out, man. I don't want to do, something that I don't want to do and then be thinking, well, I could have and should have done this and could have done that. But as of today, I'm a full-time artist, and I'm happy to say I do nothing else.
That's awesome, bro.
I'm very happy about that. Very proud of that.
Because there's people, like we were saying, at your space, people that do both, like they do artists and they have a 9-to-5.
Yeah.
But you have that luxury of art is your only, that's your thing. Like,
I'll tell you, before it became a luxury, I wouldn't call it a luxury, because I paid my dues. And when I tell you I paid my dues, I can show you the receipts, everything. There was a time where I was eating every 36 hours. If I had $3 in my pocket, I would go to McDonald's and get something off the dollar menu. I was sleeping on the floor at my boy's art studio in Red Hook, Marker 27. When nobody else was dealing with me, he was dealing with me. He was like, yo, I got you. And he knew that there was something just waiting to happen. And he was like, yo, just keep pursuing it. It'll come. keep pursuing. And when I had nothing, like now I stay close to everybody who wasn't messing with me when nobody was calling me, nobody knew who I was, nobody cared what I was doing. The people that stayed with you during those times, those are the people that you stay close to when you pop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he, him, his wife, Liza, the whole fam, I got some Boston fam, they held me down.
And like you were saying before, I think you made a good point too. How you saying you need the struggle to kind of get to that certain point, like how you were saying, like you needed to go through that to get to where you're at now.
I think so, because if you don't remember that struggle, you tend to take things a little more for granted. You know what I mean? You cannot do that.
Right.
Where at the end of the day, I'm selling a luxury. People don't need paintings to live, to survive. But if you do it well enough, that you can get the attention of people that have the ability to sustain you, meaning like the art market, the secondary market, the primary market, and people who have money to support your work. It doesn't have to always be you have a main job and then you do what your passion is. So I did all of that already. I used to drive trucks. I was a school teacher. I was a bartender. I was in the Marine Corps. I was a piano mover. I was a taxi driver. I used to clean bathrooms. I used to work at a supermarket. I was in the parking lot collecting carriages to put them away. So and I was a waiter. I was a busboy. I was a dishwasher. I was a barista for a long time. So it's important to have a sense of struggle to keep you humble, because you can't all of a sudden you can't start drinking your own Kool-Aid and thinking you're the bomb. You're gonna lose it, and then you'll be right back to where you started.
Yep. So no, you're damn sure right about that, because we all, I think, Josh included, everybody had some type of struggle where, you know what I'm saying, where I know I've slept on trains before and all types of nonsense. That's a whole nother story. So what is the inspiration for, like, because you have real, like, big pieces of art. So what's your inspiration for doing, like, most of your pieces?
Well, what's interesting for me a lot of times is I used to consider myself a portrait artist of the mundane, is what I used to call it. So it'd be pictures of like payphones or dumpsters, and I would do portraits of those objects as opposed to like a still life or just a painting of an object. And I was always interested in how these things would collect rust, how folks would tag them, put their stickers on them, and these things, would be like almost like archaeological, like urban archaeological finds right out in the open, and it started before that doing portraits of homeless people and portraits of like people that society would ignore, right? Or whoever would come off as like, just the ignored half. I wanted people to pay attention to things that they would otherwise ignore. And I started with homeless people, runaways, prostitutes, and that sort of thing. And that developed into objects in the street. And the reason I switched from that is because I was doing some street photography in DC. And there was his brother just laid out on the ground. I thought he was dead. And I pulled out my camera and I leaned over him just like this. And when my camera clicked, he heard it and got up and started chasing me up the block. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave these folks alone. I'm not gonna mess with them no more. But it was fascinating. It was interesting, for that time. Then eventually I moved to New York and I started with little paintings. It wasn't a jump off to big paintings.
Right.
It was like these little, 10 by 12 or whatever, and they, slowly grew because I couldn't afford the large canvases. But today with the large pieces, the reason I'm making them large now is because I want to grab the attention of somebody. If you want to get the attention of someone in like you put the piece in the window, like they have like in Soho and such, right? Those kind of pieces grab you from a distance. And so it became imperative for me to do pieces that are going to grab people's attention from far away. And I did that a few times with the portraits as well. And they're more fun to do. It's a more dynamic sort of act to create something big for me. You know what I'm saying? And then you hang it, it's up, and it's like it gives people a wow factor because you can't create art in a bubble, in a vacuum. I mean, you can, but then who you making art for? You making art for just yourself, but you got to think about your living, and you do have to think about moving inventory,
right,
and getting folks to want to take your work home with them, so that you can have a living. People can talk about your work. You know what I mean? And just making big pieces is just fun for me, man.
Yeah.
Looking at this big giant thing that's bigger than you.
Yeah. Some of these pieces are huge, man.
You let it consume you, and you become almost subject to your own work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy when I'm staring at this portrait, whichever portrait I'm painting at the time, and I'm looking at this big giant thing. And I did a portrait of Billie Holiday recently, and the thing is 12 feet by 12 feet. Right now, when I finished it and assembled it, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm looking up at this giant woman that I painted. She's like looking at me, I'm looking at her, and it's a mind blow to think that you created that with your own two hands, and it's gonna live forever, and it's looking at you, and you're just like, yo. Sometimes I catch myself in like a moment of like I freeze in front of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But making giant pieces like that is very satisfying because you create something bigger than yourself.
So I also know you do murals. Like, what are some of the best ones you did? Like in your art career? Like, I know you did some in the city. You've probably done some personal ones for people, I guess.
Well. My favorite piece that I did recently was in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's a piece called "The Artist," and it's a portrait of my 15-year-old niece, my great niece actually.
Yeah.
And she's dressed in like sort of like a Renaissance nobility clothing, where they got the accordion collar, right? And she's got the nice gold stitch and everything, and she looks like she comes from a place of let me see, like a higher caste, right? Which during that time was really unheard of for people of color. And so what I did is I painted her with this big, beautiful, giant afro, right? Now this girl she's Dominican, she's black, and she's Lebanese. She's just stunning girl.
What a mix.
Yo, she's beautiful, right?
What a mix.
So what I did is, let me see, I probably should pull it up on my phone. So my favorite piece of all time is that one that I did of her there. See?
Oh, wow.
And it's on Worthington Street. So I designed it with the word worthy because it's Worthington Street right there. And she has a painter's palette like they did during the Renaissance, like in the artist studio. And
let me show you.
She's got, yeah. She's got a painter's palette, right?
Yeah.
A painter's palette and a spray can. And behind her is all the graft that she did. And so
crazy.
that's my favorite piece ever as far as murals go.
How long did it take you to do that?
Bro, that thing was insane.
Yo,
thank you, man.
Yo.
They were supposed to, yeah, look, that's just a video, but that's a close-up of the face.
Wow.
Right?
Wowzers.
They were supposed to give me 7 days to do it. Okay. Then it turns out that the owner of a new business on the first floor was having an opening 2 days before I was supposed to finish it. So that cut my production down to 5 days. Then when I finally got there, some of the paint hadn't arrived. Some of the there was equipment failures, and there were 2 rain delays. So if to consolidate all of the time, including, all the problems that I had, it was 4 days of production. So I painted that whole thing in 4 days. I still can't. I'm still just like,
You did that in 4 days?
in 4 days.
Jesus Christ.
In 4 days. But I was excited doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then of course, there's the mural that I'm mostly known for, which is the Prodigy mural.
Mm-hmm.
That was a wild week. It was a crazy week.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I was actually doing, when I got asked to do that,
Right.
I was painting another mural of my niece. It was the first mural that I had done of my niece when she's like 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
She's 15 here. So I've been doing murals of my niece
Yeah, like
just
growing up, yeah.
right. And it wasn't really for Prodigy from the jump. I was supposed to go to, with my boy Eli, we were supposed to go to this bridge near in some a bridge in Queens somewhere, I believe, for a project for somebody.
Right.
And then right around that time, P had passed away, and he was like, "Yo, skip that. Let's do this instead." I said, "All right, bet." So we went over some stuff, and we're like, "Okay, we're gonna go with this image." And he found a wall directly across the street from the Queensbridge houses. Got permission from the church or whatever because they own the building.
Right.
And then we did it. Did it like that took 5-6 days.
And
And,
then something happened where you had to do it again or something like that.
Yep. So after I finished the mural,
Right.
I get a text message at like 6:30 a.m. the following day from Rafael Gonzalez, a very good a buddy of mine. And he sent me a picture with the mural, and it's covered in white paint. And I'm like, I was like, okay, who in the world could have done this, first of all?
Exactly.
And everyone's speculating, like, who could have been? Was it some hipster somebody or some who knows who? First of all, there's no hipsters over there. Second of all, hipsters are harmless people. They don't. You know, I've never known of hipsters to be ragging murals or
I never
artwork and
known
all
of a
that.
hardcore hipster. Period.
Right.
Just saying.
So before I even knew who was responsible, I said, well, I can't just let it slide. I got to go back and and fix it and, redo it. So I went, collected paint, went back to the wall, and I repainted the whole thing in like 13 hours. Because it wasn't from scratch. I just had to repair parts that were messed up.
Okay.
Right? So I was able to do it. And I finished it at like 3 a.m. the following morning. And it was the wildest experience because we had people, like that whole block was full of people for almost the entire time. It didn't die down probably till like 11 when folks went home. But we had, I had DJ Hot Day show up, and he turned his lights on with his truck so that I could see, because there wasn't enough lights in the street. And another car pulled up and turned his lights on so I could see the wall. And it was who else came? I think Nori came, and then Frankie Cutlass came, or some other people came. But before that, once I started the repair, it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. I got confronted by the guy who was responsible for it.
Really?
Yeah. And he said, look, man, you got to stop painting this mural right now. Because my person over in this location says, we don't want that mural there. Says, he's not even from here. He's from Hempstead. I said, well, that's not on me. I said, I have to finish this. I said, I'm going to finish this mural one way or the other. And then we went back and forth for like, it felt like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in Heat, man. Like we looking at each other like real serious.
Right,
like,
right.
He's like, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I said, well, I'm gonna do what I gotta do.
Exactly.
And he's telling me, who he is and this and that. He was getting ready to tell me who the person was, and I said, listen, I don't want to hear no names right now.
Right.
Don't tell me your name. I don't want to know the dude's name. Just, I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna finish it, and when I'm done with it, I'm gonna cover it with a concrete sealer, so you
can't do
it's not gonna really, really be gone.
Right.
And he was like, all right, I'll be back. And I believed him.
Right.
I was expecting him to return with his his goons or something. And they don't fight, they shoot.
Right.
So I was prepared that day while I'm standing on the scaffold, as I'm spray painting, I'm thinking, okay, a couple of moments of eerie silence would wash over the scene. And I'm just like, all right, I'm going to keep spray painting this dude's face. But I was waiting for my brains to land on the wall, and that will be the lights out for me that day. I was expecting to die that day. But I was like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out like this. But luckily for me, either there was too many people out, or he just was like, he had a different plan. So I finished the mural. And I think in those 2 days I picked up, it was like 6,000 followers that I got in like 2 days, man, 3 days. I think I was the most famous artist in the world for like maybe 4 or 5 days. But then it rode for like 24 hours. Then they came back again and hit it with red paint. And they were like, yo, this is gang related or something to that effect. I still don't even know for sure. I don't know for sure. I don't care. The point was that I came back and finished it. The politics, the hood politics between Prodigy and Mobb Deep and whoever they were mad at each other about this or whatever. I stayed away from that entirely. But it was wild. I got requests to go to Chile and do a Prodigy. I got requests to go to Australia to do a Prodigy. I was like, Texas. I was like, I don't want to be the Prodigy guy, man. Even in Hempstead, the school folks called me and was like, yo, he went to school here or whatever it is. We want you to do a piece here. So if I paint this brother a third time, I'm going to be known as the Prodigy guy. And I'm going to be exhausted from just painting the same thing over and over again. I'm going to therapy after this.
So you were good with those.
I was good with those two, man. I proved my point already.
The two you did, yeah.
So the church, when they saw that, they got scared. They were like, look, if he comes and paints this a third time, there's going to be some real problems. So they buffed it, and it's still there.
Oh, it's still there.
We covered it in a material that I think it's the marine varnish that goes under boats. That's meant to like withstand salt and all this stuff. So if you go back there and hit it with a power washer,
it'll come back out.
You won't see it again. So,
out of the ashes,
man,
it rises.
Who knows? Maybe the 10-year anniversary. Maybe. I'm not going to do it because
I think you're done for that.
Hey, you know what? I'm happy that I'm happy that not that it got buffed, but that it went down. That kind of drama was going to go down. That it went down the way it did because I proved my point. So I took a different type of approach to it, and all the hood politics action and that whole other group of people, they did what they felt they had to do because now they're happy because the mural's gone, right? I'm happy because I got a little bit of pub behind it, got a nice follower bump, and I got a lot of love from the hood, and the hood love was strong, you know, and I was completely proud of that. So I don't have a single regret behind the Prodigy mural. You know what I mean? Nas even mentioned it in his track. He's a track called just that, Hood Politics. And I was like, yo, I was geek for like a month after I heard that, man. I was like, yo, they put my mural in his track, man. Like that's history book status right there.
That goes to show you, like that whole process, like you said. I guess, like you always say, you had to go through it. You know, like
you got to take your lumps.
But you had to go through it.
You got to take your lumps. You can't be fully successful and really appreciate the value of what you're doing, and then try to formulate some kind of longevity if it was handed to you. So I tend to be more partial to folks that struggle before they get to where they're at, rather than somebody who just sort of easily stepped into the position that they're in. And the art game is not an easy game to be successful at. You got to put in your time. And the reason that's the reason I do realism. Because I don't want nobody to argue with me or discuss with me whether or not I'm a good painter, number one, whether I have artistic vision, number two, or whether or not I've earned the title artist. Because anybody can throw something on a canvas and do whatever and call it something, but really, where's your process at?
Right.
What are your steps to get to where you're going with it? And a lot of folks are lacking that element, that content, so that's why I got into realism. But it first jumped off with Bushwick Collective. Once I finally got, I was going door to door, getting the door slammed in my face. Look, let me just paint something for you for free. I'll do it for free. You know what I mean? So I was walking all around Brooklyn, and people are saying, no, you can't do a piece here. No, you can't do a piece there. I'm like, I've got a college degree. Please let me paint something on your wall. They're like, no, we don't care. And finally, I think it was Covert Coffee. They gave me an opportunity to do a little sliver of a wall.
Nice.
I was mad excited, right? I did the piece. I think it was like maybe 2 or 3 days. Then I collected that in a portfolio, and then I went somewhere else and did a freebie. And then finally I bumped into Joe from Bushwick Collective, and I got with him. He saw my paintings because I had emailed him before, and he was like, "Yo, I don't show photography." I go, "I'm not a photographer. I'm a painter." And he was like, "Yo, come show your stuff at the 10th anniversary, Bushwick Collective Art Show, right down the street from where I was living." I said, "Bet." Brought my paintings down, and that was like the key moment as far as murals go, where I started to really go nuts. Because then I started doing pieces for Bushwick Collective, and I did a couple of block party joints, and then I started to build the reputation, and that's from where. After that was when I did the Prodigy mural, but from there, I started doing more murals, and then people started paying me for my own designs eventually,
right?
And like I believed. But I knew it was going to take me some time before I can get my friggin' foot all the way in the door. But you need someone to back you.
Right.
So someone like Joe, being like, yeah, this guy's good to go. I ended up going to Paris to rock a piece out there. And it was through a connection that he had. And we, stayed at this really cool dude's house, and he was a muralist too. And it was great. And then, I've been to Canada to do some work out there, and I did a piece in Miami for Bushwick Collective of my niece also.
Oh, nice.
So my work took me to Wisconsin, and I did 2 murals out there, gigantic murals, and a restaurant, and it's all just art on walls. So fortunately, through that whole struggle, but you gotta eat the rejection. You gotta really just be prepared for people to say no to you, to tell you, people gonna give you the third, man. They're like, I don't know this dude. I don't want him to paint on my walls and all this. And you just gotta be prepared to deal with that,
right? And
just persevere and let it, do what you gotta do. And eventually someone will give you the green light if you're hungry enough. And I was hungry enough. Not just because I want to do the art, because I'd been hungry, period.
Right. That's a fact.
I was hungry, period, man. I'm like, look, I've been hungry before. Let's do this thing.
He said he could tell you about that dollar menu, boy.
Hell yeah, man. Apple pies, McChickens. Yo, McChickens.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you, McDonald's, for holding me down, McChickens.
I used to get the McChicken with the cheese, man. Put the cheese on there.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Lettuce and mayonnaise. That's what it came with. I couldn't even afford the extra cheese, bro.
But now... so now you have like private clients who, buy your stuff. And we were talking about it at your space too. So how is it different to now you having private clients and like deadlines and stuff like that, as opposed to, you were doing like a lot of freelance, I guess, before you got into like the private client.
All of it was, like 90% of it was freelance, because, basically, like I was doing sign painting as well. Like I would do the company logos on everybody's place. What is it? The Cider House in Bushwick. I did their sign out front. This place called The Well. They closed down because of the pandemic. I did a bunch of murals in there, and I did all their signage. So that was some of the freelance work. But
I mean, like, well, what's the difference? Like, 'cause now you have like a client who's like, okay, you got to make this for me, and this is the time frame. And
Well, it's not so much a typical client per se. This man is a collector.
right.
And it's funny how I met this dude, man. It was right when the pandemic jumped off, and I was supposed to go to Wisconsin to complete a restaurant. Right, my first front to back interior restaurant design, the whole shebango. It was a really nice gig, and I was supposed to go out in March of 2020. Everything got shut down, and I lost 11 grand that month.
Oof. Doing what?
Working on the restaurant.
Wow.
Because they gotta pay you to do the design work. You gotta do edits. You gotta do drafts. You gotta do mock-ups, and all of that takes time. So you put that in the budget.
Right.
And I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? Now check this out. So, you follow a hashtag on Instagram, and you follow the hashtag, and something from the post shows up on your feed.
Right.
Right. So this contest popped up, and it was like, okay, we're doing this contest. You enter your artwork into this inbox, and if we like it, we'll do like it was like what was it? How'd it go? Oh, you do a New York sports team of your choosing. We'll pay you X amount of money. You do we'll pay you this much for the hat and the materials, and we'll pay you, what was it, $500 to do the hat. We'll take the hat, we'll send it over here, and we'll auction off to charity, right?
Yeah.
So when I sent in, it was not a lot of money, but screw it, I'll take this opportunity. I sent in my artwork. The guy said, congratulations. He gives me the money. I start doing the hat, and he's like, wait a minute. Let's do something else here, because I'm looking at my paintings. Like you paint rather unusually. I don't see a lot of work like this, very often. And he offers me a series of commissions. He's like, I'm a collector. This is what I do. He's dropping some names, and at first I don't trust anybody,
right.
off the jump like that,
Right.
Until the check clears, right? So little by little, I'm developing some trust with this man, and it turns out that this dude is a gangster. He's like, I don't know how old he is. He's like 60 something. He's covered in tattoos. Okay, he lives in Thailand. His name is Dave, and he's just a Jew from the Lower East Side. One of the coolest dudes I've seen in my life. Never mind just that I've met before. So he decides to commission me for like these ginormous paintings, and he's paying for them. And I'm like, yo, this just came from the pandemic, shutting everything down, and this opportunity presented itself, and so I ran with it, and it got me to where I'm at now, because he's challenging me to paint new things in a different way. So it's like a collaboration.
Right.
But I tell you, it's not that different other than the physical logistics, because you still have a goal. You have to execute it to the best of your ability. And you can't let the person who's backing you can't let them down, because they'll, you just don't want that to ever happen, because your integrity is on the line.
Right.
But it's been an incredible experience, because I'm still wrapping my head around it. You know what I mean? And it's an incredible journey, man. But having like a collector back me like that feels like nothing. I couldn't even describe it, because I'm still crumb snatcher from the hood. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop, So
Right.
I'm just looking. Even though things are good, I'm still proverbially looking over my shoulder, because I still have the hood mentality.
Yeah, because you even told me about, there's a 2-year wait list to get stuff.
I'm
done from
very,
you.
very fortunate right now, because to get a painting from me, you're going to wait about 2 years. And then you have to book me now to get the rate for today, for now. And then if you wait a year, I got to charge you next year's price. You wait 2 years,
It's
I got to
up.
charge you
It's up.
the price for 2 years from now. So, and it's great. But then what's different, one of the things that's really different is that you start dealing with different types of people.
Right.
You're not just dealing with folks that, they recognize you, they want to get something nice from you, but they ain't really got the bread.
Right.
And then, I paid those dues where I was dealing with folks who they want to get as much for their money as they can, and you cannot blame them for that.
Right.
You just have to let them. You just got to deal with it, and make the work, and try to be sweet to everybody in the street, so that they'll talk about you. And everything isn't going to go perfectly. There's some there's going to be some crash and burns, right? Which I've had, but at the end of the day. Now I'm working with people who are just like more serious art lover types. The type of folks that they just want the art.
Right.
They don't blink at your price. You don't gouge them. You be honest with it. But they don't blink at your price. So then you start to, first you're working here for a while, then you you climb that little bit, and then you stay there for a while, and you work that next level, and you stay there for a while. And you keep building the audience of folks that want to see your work. And the further you go, the less discussion. The further I go, the less I have to discuss my rates and my prices.
Yeah, it gets to the point where you don't even have to discuss it. It's just like, this is the price.
The best way is when you have somebody doing it on your behalf. When somebody is speaking for you, it changes things a lot, because it's like a chess game. You got all the pawns in the front, then you got all your lieutenants and special soldiers in front of you, then you got your queen next to you, and you got to go through all of them before you can have access to the king. So I'm still in the process of building my team, and eventually I'll have like a publicist. Eventually I'll have like a dealer or somebody who's gonna work that for me. So before I even see the customer, or the client, they've been vetted. There's a lot of questions that I no longer have to ask anymore.
Even if you get your stuff put in like, say, like a auction house or something like that, then they would be like the middleman to you, like, right? Or like if it's on display somewhere.
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I just know that in order for you to get to an auction house, someone has to speak on your behalf, and you're not just going to show up with a painting and they're going to do it. There's a channel. There's a series of channels with people that are already connected to that world, that are going to pull you in and say, listen, and then speak on your behalf. But listen, this is Jeff Henriquez. We're going to put his stuff here on auction, and so on and so on and so on. Like Danny.
Yeah.
Danny is going to go to the big time, and I'm so happy for him.
What's up, Danny?
What's up, D?
Cortez. What's good? But
yeah, man. So that whole thing has changed, and so when that changes, your approach changes, even your verbal communication changes, your language changes. You polish it. You stop using certain words like price. You use you don't use words like payments. So you say things like installments.
Installments are good.
I love a good installment.
I got a good installment
I got
plan.
2, 3, 4 installments that are coming from this lovely individual.
Nice.
I got 2 or 3 installments coming from this lovely person who is a big fan of my work.
Steady income.
And you have to kiss the ground in gratitude. It is the number one thing. If I got to tell anybody watching, be grateful. You have to live in gratitude and be thankful for every crumb that lands on your table.
Be humble.
And be humble. Do not drink your own lemonade, because that shit's going to taste sour. I'm dead serious. And you have to be generous in return. Like, I don't give money anymore, but I'll give food. I'll buy 10 pies for a group of homeless folks if I see them there and they want food. So whatever I have, I try to give and just give back as much as I can. And the universe likes that, man.
Yeah. Did you have you thought about getting into NFTs and all that stuff?
I have, but it's such an abstract world to me right now.
Yeah.
With all the work that I have in front of me. And I mean, I don't really need to think about it.
Right.
But if someone came and said, okay, listen, you create the artwork, we'll create the NFT, and we'll handle the rest, then I would absolutely consider it.
Yeah, because I mean, all I'm seeing is like these, like not even big artists, just artists in general, making these NFTs, and like they'd be like $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Like,
you know what that is? The whole trick. One of the tricks behind that is tax breaks, man.
Yeah.
They're trying to push all that extra money in another direction so that they don't have to give it to the government, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Now, some corporations or individuals, they'll buy art instead of paying taxes, and then they have some game that they play, charitable donations or contributions or whatever it is, and they end up actually making money behind however they work that carefully crafted system.
Yeah, I mean, the whole crypto thing is new to me, but I'm actually starting to get into it. It's a fun place, but like you said, it's you can't help your taxes if you do it right.
Yeah. So these kids that have too much money,
yeah,
they're like, yo, if the government hits me up for this, I'm gonna have to pay X, Y, and Z. Why not just pay half of that in the form of an NFT, then build up the hype on, in the stock world.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just not like a tangible thing.
Well, that's what you was like me at first, until somebody kind of like hit me over the head and was like, look at this. And, I started buying Bitcoins. And
how's that working for you?
Oh, it's beautiful, bro.
Oh, yeah?
It's beautiful.
I think I just got the hammer upside the head.
You know what I'm saying? Get you like a Coinbase account and just like, you could just start with literally $10 and then they teach you how to Coinbase and crypto. And then the crazy thing about it is they will, they give you these little quizzes, and then you pass the quiz and they give you more crypto. So it's like, yeah, it's crazy, bro.
You take a quiz and they give you crypto.
Yeah. They give you money.
See, man, that's why I ain't even mess with no crypto, man. What kind of nonsense is that? I just don't trust none of that.
I mean,
jazz.
listen, I'm active in the stock market, but I have actually chilled out with the stocks and been doing crypto for the past couple of weeks. It's been awesome, bro. I've been making money like crazy.
For the past couple of weeks, you said?
Yeah. I've only started like 2 weeks, but it's been awesome. Because I was a stock guy. Like, I was investing in this and that and AMCs and all of that until somebody hit me with the crypto, and I downloaded the Coinbase app.
I trust none of it.
No, I'm telling you, bro. It's you may not trust it, but it's looking good on my portfolio.
Don't mean it's not working. Yeah,
it's looking good on my portfolio.
Yeah, I hear you, man. No,
but
I've thought about it. I've seen. I think it was the artist Human did a ridiculous, beautiful piece.
Yeah,
that was an NFT. And it was, seeing it animated was really something else. But I have no clue as far as
telling you, bro,
how to create an NFT.
Don't worry, bro.
Animate an NFT.
I'll send you the info, bro.
You see what I mean?
Because
what is it, like a yellow pages, thick ass book of information?
Nah, it's really simple. Because I was asking Danny the same thing when I had Danny on, and I was like, dude, like, I know you're making all these miniatures, but what's next? And then I'm telling you, the NFT thing is, I think every artist needs to get into it, because it's easy money for you guys. You guys are so creative. Because
I'm definitely down to do it, but I still need convincing in the intrinsic sense. Like, I get that it works that way, in Chinese as far as I'm concerned, because I don't understand that behind the scenes part of it. But for me, like, I'm a technical, tactile person. I got to understand things in those terms, logistically. So if I could get a good breakdown where I can wrap my 2 or 3 brain cells that I have left around all of that, then I can see where my path is, and I can follow that. But definitely, like, walking into a cloud of smoke and not knowing what direction to go, that's what it feels like to me right now.
Like think about it. Our new mayor his first 2 checks are gonna be paid in Bitcoin. He's getting paid in Bitcoin. And then there's, I think next week's gonna be a New York City coin that's
Lord
coming
have
out.
mercy.
Yo, bro, I'm telling you, I'm on it, bro. I'm on it. I'm on it.
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. But you know what? I like the idea of the app, the Bitcoin app, Coinbase, yeah, app.
Yeah.
You just put in a little bit of money at a time or
A
something.
little bit of money.
Okay, we should. Yeah, I'm
what you want?
yeah, I'm not dropping 10 grand on just out of the blue.
Bro,
like, okay, now you gotta wait 3 years.
You can start with 20, 10, even 5, depending on you. I'm telling you. And you'll just see it growing. You'll be like, oh, wow.
Okay.
Let me put 20 in there. Let me put 40.
I got $5.
Oh, see, there you go.
Okay.
So
I'm with that. Yeah.
so we're
just as long as I feel like I'm jumping off a cliff and with this big investment, and I'm like, oh my God, what's gonna happen?
You good? We wouldn't let you jump off the cliff, bro. You know what I'm saying? Not yet, but
yeah. I'll make sure I got a parachute.
So we're gonna wrap this show up. So before we end, so what are your things that you got planned for next year? Because we're about a month away from New Year's, so like. As far like, are you going to do a show?
So Danny and I, because we discuss a lot of, we have similar subject matter in some of our work, and so the opportunity presented itself for us to utilize this big, beautiful space in Queens to do an installation. My good friend Batel, I'm talking about you now. She offered us a space in Queens, huge installations, film, obviously the artwork and things. And so we're working on trying to figure out logistically how we can put that together in a timely way. But I think the big jump off for next year, aside from what I'm doing with the collector, is to do an exhibit that's going to be a nice dovetail between the miniatures and the super large scale paintings of the same type of the same subject matter. And I think it'll be pretty dope.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Okay. So where can they find you on the internets if you want to be found? On
the internets, they can find me on Instagram at Jeff Henriquez art _. That's JEFFHENRIQUEZ art _.
Oh, see? I hope you can spell. You can find me on Instagram, Polo Parata, sUpEr on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Patreon. If you sign up for the Patreon, it's only $5. You'll get this episode tonight. Other than that, you have to wait till tomorrow. YouTube, we'll have the YouTube video out tomorrow at 12 o'clock sharp. Jeff, thank you for coming.
Bro, thank you for having me, man.
Hopefully you can come on again.
Anytime.
Next time we'll bring a mural or something. We'll try to figure it out. But
hey, whatever works, man.
Now, what I do for the video is I'll take some of the photos from your Instagram and throw it on the video so they can see, some of the art you got, because you got a lot of good stuff.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Thanks, and I want to thank you guys for supporting the YouTube. We are 240,000 views strong this year. It's been phenomenal. Thank you for everybody that's supporting. Even the followers, we're up to 340 something.
Whippa.
So yeah, thank you guys. Keep on watching. I'll keep on throwing out the content. We'll be back next week with another guest, another artiste. And hopefully Jay will be back because he said his back is fucked up. So, shout out Kes, shout out Rebs, Day, Detour, GAK. We're out of here. See you guys next week. Ciao. That was a good one.
That's a good one, man. Short, but it's sweet, man.
Yeah.
Lots of good stories. Man.